Right, so I had the urgency. I had the urgency to do this today. It's the 26th of November 2022. Guns N' Roses is performing tomorrow at Sydney Olympic Park. I'm going to talk about this album today. This is my original copy of it from when I purchased it in 1991. I actually did this review a few years back now when I was just starting my channel. It was quite rough around the edges. I've considered putting it up. The lighting was fairly miserable, and it was about the 10th thing I'd filmed back in 2019. Good evening. I am going to talk about a very particular album, and the singer who I idolised in a way, worshipped, hung on his every word. And once again, this album came to me at the end of my high school years. It's not open yet, by the way. I actually haven't heard this. I can't really comment about this. However, I can talk about this, which is my original copy, which I purchased this in 1990 after getting out of high school. My only copy. Somewhere in high school, somewhere about year 10, walking down the corridor, seeing the school kids come toward me with a t-shirt with a cross on it, 5 faces and a cross on it. And opening riff of Welcome to the Jungle came on. I'm like, I was just around there. So this is my copy, of course, because a part of a major reassessment. I had a big reassessment of things here a few months ago, and I think now is a really good time to do this because about a year ago I was coming from a very different point of view on things, a very different point of view. I purchased this in late 2018. About a month after it came out, $25 JB Hi-Fi. No, $20. It was $20. My intention is to open it soon. So, Midnight Charlie Man, Patrick here, and today I will talk about I'm going to speak about this album today. Now, this all started my journey with Guns N' Roses. I had a big major reassessment. I'm wondering where I'll start. Okay, in 1988, about 1987, 1988, in year 10. And we'd walk the corridors of the day, and there'd be the other kids in my form, and they were wearing Iron Maiden t-shirts, and Dio t-shirts, and Ozzy t-shirts, and Anthrax t-shirts, and Metallica t-shirts, Slayer, and that was every day at high school. And then one day in the corridor, as I was walking in the corridor of high school, I saw a couple of kids wearing this t-shirt, and I was like, what is that? I was very interested. I was fascinated by it. I was curious about it. I wanted to know. I didn't know what it was. So I wanted to know what was going on. And the kids in high school, some metalheads are generous, some are not. These metalheads in high school, a lot of them weren't generous. They kind of, they looked at me, they chuckled. I eventually asked one or two of them a few questions, but they didn't let me in on things. So at home on the weekend, before I was old enough to go out, Richard Wilkins, and also there was Rage, Watch Rage. Yeah. So home on the weekends, and Richard Wilkins introduced Welcome to the Jungle, and then he introduced Welcome to the Jungle, and so it was the first time I heard the opening, the first time I heard Sweet Child of Mine. That's what really got me, because up until then, I listened to a lot of top 40 stuff, a little bit of Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, and a bit of Kylie Minogue, all the top 40 stuff that was happening in the charts at the time is what I was listening to, and I greatly enjoyed a lot of it, Madonna, and Dire Straits, and In Excess, and Midnight Oil, and also a lot of American stuff, which I greatly enjoyed. And then the first time, and after seeing those t-shirts at school, at high school, and then the first time that I heard Sweet Child of Mine, I was taken. That was it for me. It was when I heard Axl's voice. It was my musical home. I felt like I found my musical home. It was like I was in heaven, in a sense, musical heaven. And when I heard Slash's guitar, it was like, I like the guitar, I like that voice. Now, Guns N' Roses Live at the Ritz '88 premiered on MTV. I taped it on VHS. I've still got the VHS. I taped it on VHS, and just checking that light. I taped it on VHS, and I've still got the VHS. And what happened was, I recorded it on VHS off MTV, and I watched that concert. I watched it all the time, every day for about 6 months. So I didn't actually hear this at the time. 1989, so that was 1989. When I left high school, I'd watch that concert every day for a few months. Then I went out and bought Appetite. I bought Teen Analyzer. It might have been Utopia. Memory's vague. Might have went to Utopia to buy it. When Utopia were at... Well, Utopia in 91. Were they in the eastern... Not Sussex Street. George. About a block down from George. I bought it. And the thing is, that was my musical home. My musical home. I decided they were my favourite band, and that was it. Over the years, perspective does change. I was completely taken in. I was completely taken aback by Axl. In fact, actually, to me, the band was Axl, Slash, and Duff. Mainly Axl and Slash, and the other guys weren't invisible, but Axl, Slash. And I became obsessed. I became very obsessed, and I would watch GNR live at the Ritz every day, and I would listen to Appetite every day. And then news of it's upstairs. Use Your Illusion albums advertised 6 months in advance, and what I did is I went into Sydney CBD, and I went to HMV, and I bought You Could Be Mine, the single on cassette tape. I've still got it. And actually, in fact, after Illusion albums came out, about a month later, I was in the Sydney CBD one day, and I came across this. I've parted ways with this for a long time. Parted ways with this, got it back. Well, it's not the same copy, but it is a very, just as good copy. I'm very proud of this purchase. And this one's got a serial number on it too. See the serial number. Now, when the Illusion out, I've been listening to Appetite all the time. So these are upstairs down. So I went to the city to get this. 1990, I went into the CBD to get this, and I listened to this every day. I was listening to this every day before the Illusion albums came out, and I have this. As well, and I have this. And the Illusion albums came out. Went into the Sydney CBD, bought Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, still got them. They're over there in the CD rack. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Here. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. You can see them just there. You can see that sticky tape, which has been there for a year. So Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I think you can pretty much make that out. Oh, this is getting heavy. Okay. Now, so they're my original copies. And what happened was when you Use Your Illusion albums home, I listened to them constantly every day, almost in a sense setting Appetite aside for a while, and I focused completely on Axl and the Illusion albums. Some of the songs that I was like, oh, this song's okay, it's okay, but in my brain I insisted on listening to all the album the entire way through. Some songs I get to and I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to sit through this. I'll sit through it. And my brain was telling me it was because of my OCD at the time. And all the way through. And usually Illusion 2, all the way through. I would do this every day, back to back. And for about 3 or 4 months, and then I would do this. And in retrospect now, thinking back about this now, I think what would have been better to do at the time in retrospect was saying to myself, okay, half these songs are good. I'm enjoying half this album. So those other songs, I don't really feel I need to listen to. And there's other bands out there. And that's not what I was thinking at the time. But in retrospect, it was okay, half is a good album, it's fun, it's enjoyable, great. And I might just listen to other things, but I was just listening constantly. And And then 1993, Eastern Creek, Guns N' Roses came out here, Skid Row opened, and it was a big day. In fact, actually, what happened 3 to 4 months into listening to Illusion albums, back to back all the time, I said to Frank, I told him what I was doing. He said, dude, you can't do that, you'll burn yourself out. I burnt myself out. I've been listening to nothing but Guns N' Roses, the Illusion albums, for a few months on end. And he said, you can't do that, that's not healthy, you can't do that. And so overnight, I stopped listening to Guns N' Roses. Overnight, I just moved on. So it was interesting that the day when Eastern Creek came along, and Guns N' Roses came out here in 1993, a really hot day too, by the way. Not that I wasn't completely into it, but I thought, at that point, I was still in not listening to GNR mode. I wanted to go that day. Actually, I was like, oh, I haven't been in a crowd of 100,000 people all at once. So I went. It was a good fun day, and I left Guns N' Roses alone for a while after I had such burnout on Earth. It was a few years later. Actually, I think it was when I was working at SeaWorld Sydney. I became very sad in a musical sense. I thought, I don't know what I'm sad for. And then I realised I haven't heard Guns N' Roses for a while. A musical home, Guns N' Roses. So musical home, Guns N' Roses. So I went back to Appetite and listened to Appetite, and it felt really good. It felt amazing to hear this album again. I heard it again, and I fell in love with this album all over again. And then what happened was, I was fast forwarding, because while I was not listening to Guns N' Roses, I was listening to like Slayer, Morbid Angel, a little bit of Metallica during the Load era, and a variety of bands, very eclectic in my music sense. Metal, hard rock, a variety of things. And now, 1999, after I discovered the internet. 1999, after I discovered the internet, now I found the GNR forum, and for some I got really into it, just reading all the articles, and because Axl had gone into hibernation. Axl had become a recluse since about '94. Slash had Snake Pit, and what happened was I found out about Chinese Democracy, which I do have. I don't know what it is. I also have a demo for Chinese Democracy. We were 3 months before the album came out. One of my geek friends came up to me. I think it was Greg. Came up to me. He said, "I think this is what you're looking for." And it was a demo copy of Chinese Democracy. Partly grunge sounding in certain part. The actual title track, Chinese Democracy, on that demo tape sounded a bit grunge. It was a very rough copy of it. But also previous to this, in 2000, Brazil, Rock in Rio, Brazil, there was most of that concert was captured on audio, and I don't know what. Okay, at the time there was this thing where you get music from, but I don't remember what it's called. It took me 2 weeks of downloading or something, and then my sister went over to Europe. She went to this marketplace, and she found it on CD, and she brought it back to me as a surprise, and I was really quite happy about that at the time. And so, but half the set at Brazil was the Chinese Democracy songs, and what we now know as Absurd is Silkworms. It's Silkworms from 2000. It's a leftover. So the GNR forum found out. I found out about Chinese Democracy, and for some reason I latched onto that. I don't know why I did this. I regret doing this, but I latched onto it. I keep looking at that light. I latched onto Chinese Democracy, and the fact that something was coming out, and the fact that Axl was doing something, even though that Slash and Duff and Matt Sorum, they'd left the building, but for some reason in my brain, I latched onto that, and for quite a long time. And it was in the early zeros. I was in the early zeros, on and off, because very fortunately for me, I was eclectic in my music, very eclectic, so I listened to a lot of different things, very fortunately for me, and at the same time, waiting for Chinese Democracy. And then in 2008, suddenly, with almost no promotion, Chinese Democracy was on the shelf, and I refer to it as the Axl Rose project. Many people do. Chinese Democracy is a very good album. It's got some great tracks on it, and I listened to it when it came out. When I was listening to it constantly, and in between this, I most of the time go back to Appetite. In fact, I think from about 2002 onwards, I was not hearing the Illusion albums, the usual Illusion albums. I wasn't hearing them. I was focusing on Appetite when I was listening to GNR. And the last time I heard Chinese Democracy was in 2012, because in 2012 I was listening to Chinese Democracy constantly, and I haven't heard it since. Better is probably my favourite track off the album, so as is If the World, and Catcher in the Rye, and There Was a Time. If the World, maybe that's my favourite track. If the World, that's my favourite track. It makes me think of Las Vegas for some reason, If the World. This is an astounding album. It's captivating, it's engaging in every way, in every essence. It engulfs you. You know, I heard it a few months ago. I went back to it after not hearing it for a while. Beautiful. A few months ago, and also I saw Axl when I think Axl came out here in 2011, and he came out here in 2013, or 14, no, not 14, 13, when he came out here, when it was his band. I saw it, so they were quite good, actually, and DJ Ashba was quite good. I've never been a fan of Frank. I do not like Frank Ferrer, never been a fan of him, never will be a fan of him. Richard Ford is borderline. Don't exactly like his style, he's borderline. And the reason why Matt Sorum is not there is because Matt Sorum used to confront Axl often. Axl did not like that. During the past 6 years, Atlas turned up once or twice. I saw them in 2017. I saw went with Michelle to see Guns N' Roses 2017. That was fun. It was fun. But my idolising, worshipping of Axl started to fade somewhere around 2015. As you get older in life, you develop a different perspective. I don't think the way I did when I was in my 20s, thankfully. So around 2015, it started, the idolisation started to fade rapidly. Now, I have a big reassessment of things, and I do regret idolising Axl in those early days, really being overzealous about it and idolising him, worshipping him, and it's embarrassing to even admit. But I did that for a very long time, staunchly defended him, even to the point where I was kicked out of a couple of private parties because I would voice my opinion on things, and it was very 180 degrees to what other people thought about things, and they'd say, I think it's time for you to leave, mate. I think it's time for you to piss off. And a couple of women were nasty, and they said, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to fuck off now. We do these things in life. Back in August, I thought, I'm going to have a listen to the Illusion albums, see how I go with them. And I'll tell you what, they can be condensed to, what is it, Dust and Bones is okay, Dust and Bones, The Garden of Eden, Bad Apples is okay, a Locomotive, some of these tracks can be reduced to about 3 minutes in length. Dead Horse is okay. What happened, I think what should have happened was that 2 albums, still put it as 2 albums, but the second album should have had Civil War, Live and Let Die, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Don't Cry, and then the first album, just Bad Apples, Dead Horse, The Coma, throw that on the second album. Coma's fucking long. And mind you, I used to enjoy all these songs. I can't, you've been so played on the radio, and November Rain on the second album too. So Far and Estranged on the first. Right Next Door, Dustin, okay. So, Shotgun Blues, which is not quite bearable anymore. Shotgun Blues, pretty tied up, if I can handle. Estranged, love Estranged, So Fine Is Good. Can't handle Don't Cry. A few months ago now I watched GNR Like the Ritz 1988 and I thought, you know what, I'll get through 10 minutes of this because that big reassessment. And also, Axl's voice is not the same as it once was. In fact, a really bad time for Axl's voice was the Use Your Illusion tour. And so a few months ago I watched GNR. I got through it all the way through it. All the way through it. It's really, it's just a fantastic concert. It's a gig. GNR Live at the Ritz 88. In their prime, down and dirty. It's really, really good. And GNR Live at the Ritz 91, which is now on YouTube. Fun to watch. I've watched it a couple of times. Fun to watch. Curious. It's interesting to watch. It's a bit fascinating to watch it. So what should have happened? They got together back together in 2014. Duff Slash and Axl, when they got back together and reunited in 2014, 6 months later, should have done an album. They should have put an album out. All the original material that Axl has and still hasn't is still in his vault. But and Guns N' Roses tomorrow. Actually excited about it. Seeing them tomorrow. Actually excited. Well, I'll be excited about it. Slash Axl and Duff. Also, that's what should have happened. Absurd. The lyrics to Absurd, which is actually Silk Word from 2000. The lyrics are fucking terrible. They're fucking awful lyrics. And the thing is a new GNR album relevant now? Is a new Guns N' Roses album relevant? No. It's been too little, too late. I'll tell you how the Illusion album should have been. Right Next Door to Hell. Dustin Burns. Live and Let Die. Don't need to hear that ever again. Don't Cry. No. Perfect Crime. Okay, yeah, Perfect Crime. You Ain't the First. No. Bad Obsession. Back Off Bitch. Double Talking Drive. No. November Rain. Never left it. Never want to hear it again. The Garden. It's okay. Garden of Eden. Don't Damn Me. Yep, that's alright. Bad Apples. Bad Apples. It's okay. Dead Horse. It's okay. Coma. Too Long. No. Right. Use Your Illusion 2. A Civil War. Never have to hear that ever again. Great song. That should go on the second album. 14 years. Yeah, it's okay. Yesterday's. Yeah, I don't mind Yesterday's. Knock on Heaven's Door. I never really need to hear it ever again. However, they can go on the second album. Get in the Ring. No. Shotgun Blues. Not really. No. Breakdown. No. It's okay. Pretty tied up. Yeah, pretty tied up. Locomotive. I don't think Locomotive needs to go for 8 minutes and 42 seconds. They could be at about. They could take that down to about 5 minutes. So Fine, yes, Estranged, yes, You, my favourite song off that album. Don't Cry, no, never need to hear it again. My World, meh. Okay, so you've got condensed. So I think what somebody should do, and it's ironic. As soon as I had my reassessment, I sat down and I listened to those Use Your Illusion albums. I listened to them as soon as I did that, and I was like, this can be condensed to one album, but for the sake of things, because those other songs are part of popular culture, make it 2 albums. And I think what someone really needs to do, maybe Bob Rock or a fan, maybe just a fan, someone who knows what they're doing, needs to get these source tapes, the master tapes from somewhere in the San Fernando Valley, go into a studio and remix them from scratch. Make them 3 to 4 minute songs. Maybe 3 to 5 minute songs. Estranged can still go for as long as it does. Remix them, take all the sugar coating off them, put them together as one album. Make it 2 albums, as I said, with all those ballads there and with all the other stuff here. So, a new Guns N' Roses album. I used to be keen on it, but I'm no longer keen or excited. Matt Sorum should be on it, and Adler should be on it, and Frank Ferrera should be nowhere to be seen. As for Richard Fortis, I found him tolerable over the years, but when he first started with Axl, couldn't handle him at all. Didn't like his style. The Guns N' Roses, it's sentimental to me. They are sentimental to me. A new Guns N' Roses album at this point, it should have come out about 8 years ago. You got other bands out there who are making albums consistently every couple of years. And I love a band that puts out an album every 1 or 2 years. And considering that a lot of the songs on the Illusion albums are just left over from the Appetite era. Some of the songs, like Bad Obsession, was written. Don't Cry was the first Guns N' Roses song written. Bad Obsession was written around the time of Brownstone. All these songs were written before Appetite was recorded. I'm actually looking forward to the gig tomorrow. It'll be fun. Looking forward to it. Guns N' Roses are here in Australia now. They're here in Sydney, actually. They're here in Sydney. Oh, this shirt. Okay, 2005, I went to Broadway. In 2005, I went to Broadway Shopping Centre. They had HMV was still there. HMV was still there, and this was $30. It was the last one they had when they had the T-shirt right there, and this was $30. It's $30. Bought it in 2005, and very proud of it. Still am, and it was the last one on the shelf. It's been through the ringer. It's been through the ringer. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I've covered everything. I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. Okay. Wanted to say those things.